Yellow, welcome back to the Red Pill content of Willie F, aka Moriarty. And you already know the mindset here is you either die a villain or you live long enough to see yourself become a simp. Okay, I know you probably looked at the title and you're like, okay, this doesn't seem like typical Red Pill content, and it really isn't. And that's not a problem. I definitely, I find I'm kind of passionate about this subject behind closed doors, and it's only because I once considered myself a conspiracy theorist. But due to the uprise of conspiracy theorists that consider themselves flat earthers and anti vaxxers, I no longer wanted to be associated with that anymore. I just consider myself as a person that I'm a rational thinker. I question things that I feel should be questioned, and I'm not a fan of questioning everything. I think questioning everything is the catalyst to being a freaking idiot. Um, some things you just have to accept. Some things that you just have to just understand. I mean, some things just make sense when you start to question it. You just start to create this rabbit hole of stupidity. All right, I consider myself also a guy like I still don't understand the whole millennial Gen Xer thing, but I definitely see myself as an older millennial and a guy that is on the younger spectrum of Gen Xers. Because when I was growing up, we were considered Gen Xers. I'm from the generation that experienced chickenpox. For all of you that don't know, chickenpox is something that generally had us out of school for about 5 to 7 days. And chickenpox is loosely considered to be very similar to the herpes strand. And some people continue to have outbreaks for the rest of their lives. Some people only experience that 5 to 7 day burst to where their rash pretty much goes away and they can go back to school depending on when they got the chicken pox, the shingles, or whatever you want to call it. But once again, my generation definitely experienced chicken pox. For the most part, I believe most of us did. That was pretty normal for us. And like I said, I think that we're living testimonies to the fact that vaccinations do work. I live in a world now where chickenpox is something that my child has never had to experience, and children around me don't experience because they have had the proper vaccinations. Whether vaccinations are responsible for autism, that hasn't been proven. Whether vaccinations are just, cause for overall weirdness in children today, that hasn't been proven. I personally believe that there are other environmental factors to why society is the way it is today, and I really wouldn't blame it on vaccinations. Once again, I believe people that really question vaccinations outside of maybe flu shots, because I'm not a fan of flu shots, but I have heard that they do work for some people. All in all, to be in a world where you can say, I'm not getting flu shots, that is one example of being privileged. Like, you're privileged to live in a country where, it's not some dictatorship telling you get these shots or you die. um, Long story short, anti-vaxxers to me are people that just want to feel special. They're searching for some type of purpose in life, and a lot of times they find their purpose by traveling the backwoods of some Caribbean country or going through the rainforest in the tropics or wherever. And they bump into people where they figure out these witchcraft potions and concoctions, and they feel the need to bring it back to America where they feel Americans aren't so cultured, and it kind of feeds into their superiority complex. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on anti-vaxxers, but the fact of the matter is none of their claims have actually been brought forth to me to make me say I'm totally against all vaccines. I feel like once you establish yourself as an anti-vaxxer, then you're basically saying that the government is trying to kill us. The government has no need for us. The government is trying to slowly erase us. I I I can agree to that only if I saw massive amounts of people dropping dead because of these vaccinations. For the most part, you can question maybe the life expectancy will be a lot better if vaccinations weren't around. But once again, I come from the chickenpox era. I never had the privilege of getting the chickenpox vaccine. I had already had it, so I'm like naturally vaccinated. It doesn't chicken somebody with chickenpox, measles, shingles, whatever, they couldn't affect me. They couldn't. There's nothing they can do to me. long story short, I think that we live in scary times where parents I believe it's pretty irrational to sacrifice your child in the name of being an anti-vaxxer. I feel like if you're going to make a decision to say, I'm against vaccines, then as an adult, you should be able to make that decision. That's fine. But I also believe that you should reap the consequences of not being vaccinated in a community, in a society, in a world where most of the people around you are vaccinated. I know you guys seen the sudden stream of measles infections that erupted like in Oregon based on the fact that people were against vaccinations. I feel like that could have been avoided if these people were quarantined. If you don't want to be vaccinated, then move to a little country, a little rural town that is quarantined away from society. That way, you're not a freaking walking disease. But parents today, which is mind-blowing to me, parents today that clearly see the benefits of vaccination, they choose to make their children sacrificial lambs. A couple of weeks ago, a kid in Colorado was coming down with the flu. And I believe his doctor told the parents that, hey, put this kid on Tamiflu and he should be fine. If not, bring him back and, we'll see what the root cause is. We'll get down to it. That's what doctors are there for. But instead, this parent didn't even go to WebMD. They went to an anti-vax Facebook group and asked them, what should we do? And you know what this Facebook group told them? You should apply elderberries, oils, and put potatoes in your child's socks. I don't know what type of fuckery this is, where parents, people with the mental capacity to birth a child, felt it was acceptable to ask an anti-vax Facebook group for medical advice. Once again, I'm not the biggest fan of WebMD, but at least WebMD has certified practitioners uploading information into their database that are supported by trials and studies and things like that. Anti-vax groups can't tell me shit. Anti-vax groups are just conspiracy theorists that have gone crazy. That's my opinion. It's like going to a flat earth Reddit. Like, these people they just have their opinions. They don't really have any true proof. They just spout nonsense, and people without a purpose, in my opinion, are the ones that eat it up. Similar to veganism. I don't knock veganism. I don't knock flat earthers. I don't have anything against anti-vaxxers until you start sacrificing children. That's where I gotta draw the line. That is a major problem for me. Elderberries, oils, potatoes, it's all witchcraft. It's all voodoo, in my opinion. It's all culture that we're not familiar with. So therefore, we feel it must be superior because we hate Americans so much. Well, we hate America so much because it's cool to hate America now. I'm not a fan of that. And I'm not saying that this Facebook group or these anti-vaxxers are people that hate Americans, because based on the data, they say like 55% of these people are Trump supporters, like 10 or 15% of them are Bernie Sanders supporters, and so on and so forth. I don't think the political affiliations really matter, but I mean, for the most part, these people do have political views, so in one way or another, they do kind of trust the government. One of the key takeaways from this for me that made me open up my red pill lens was the fact that 89% of these people that are affiliated with these anti-vax groups, they're female. They're female. That's wild to me. And 78% of them, they're parents. But after reading a quote from the anti-vax group, I believe it's an anti-vax group, let me find it. It's an anti-vax group, and they refer to themselves as Crazy Mothers. Crazy Mothers posted on Twitter not too long ago. It said, "Dear media, please retire the use of the term anti-vaxxer It's derogatory, inflammatory, and marginalizes both women and their experiences. It is dismissive me. Simplistic, highly offensive, and largely false. We politely request that you refer to us as vaccine risk aware. That word dismissive me really bothers me. But at the end of the day, when I think of dismissive, when I read this, I definitely feel a sense of dismissing men. It literally only says both women and their experiences, as if women are the only ones that can be parents in this country. But if you want to go that route, to me, this is a fundamental reason why you need a rational male and a female at the head of the household when it comes to making decisions like these. I'm a firm believer in women follow, men lead. I think when that happens, I think you get better results. I feel like masculine should lead and feminine should follow. If the man happens to be feminine and the woman happens to be masculine, okay, if that's how you want to do it, top and bottoms, whatever. My point is, I believe that when it comes to raising a child, that operation needs to be led by two people, and you get better results that way. The stats in America prove it. It's not a guaranteed thing, but what is? So long story short, that is what appealed me to this subject among other reasons. But I say all this to say that I don't care what movement that you are a part of. You need to make sure that you don't become so woke that you no longer make sense anymore. Because that is what's happening in society today. I believe anti-vaxxers are too woke. I believe a lot of these people are overloaded with information that they truly cannot comprehend. And as they regurgitate it, they just come off as almost mildly retarded. And that's really all I have to say on that. And I appreciate you for listening. Until we meet again.